Hello and welcome to this episode of Heart and Soul. My name is Marla Wall, and with me is my sister Alyssa Fleming. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are excited. Listen, I have something that I want us to talk about tonight, and it is regarding our wonderful, wonderful children. So let's just jump right in here, okay? So recently, we heard about the situation with Kirk Franklin and his son. And so he has since issued an apology. I actually didn't know anything about it. Sydney was over yesterday and she was talking to me about it. She said, "Mom, did you hear about Kirk Franklin?" I'm like, "Oh, Lord, what now?" So she played the video for me. And it was of him and his son in a conversation. His son is, I think, in his 30s. 32. And he recorded his dad.
Shady as all get out.
Having this conversation and then posted it so that it could go viral. So just before we even go any further, what are your thoughts about that? Now, we don't have all the details. We're just talking as a mom and a mom with children. We're just having a little conversation. So tell me what your thoughts are about that.
Okay, I didn't know about it either until last night. And I didn't listen to the audio clip. I just read the transcript.
Okay.
And I was really disgusted by his son's behavior. I really, really was. I'm just like, number one, there's supposed to be a trust factor between us. Where I get to be me, even if me is wrong right now, I still get to be me. For him to record it and then leak it, or not leak it, but post it on Instagram, that's violation number one. Some people were up in arms. I did read some of the Facebook posts and other social media posts where they were saying, some were saying, he needs to be ashamed of himself and so on and so forth. I'm just like, you must not have kids that get on your last nerve and presses that last button,
right,
where rationale is out the door, through the window, and nowhere near my mind.
Right. I listened to it. Sydney played it for me, and so I did hear the expletives and everything. And what stood out to me was, again, what you talked about as far as, the parent-child dynamic. But I also understand when things are toxic, there is no closeness, there's no respect. And obviously, from what I ascertained, it doesn't feel as if he respects his dad, right? And so to the point where it almost felt, you recorded him. So for me, it's almost like I know what you're going to say.
Right.
And either I am inciting you to say these things, because the first thing I heard Kirk say was, well, if you're going to say that, you say that about me. So it almost sounds like his son is inciting something to get Kirk frustrated.
Right.
And so he's talking and his son is like, yeah, I dare you. I dare, whatever he was saying. He was really just
triggering that stuff.
He was from what I heard, it sounded like he was triggering, and he cussed. Right, and then Kirk said, "You're not gonna disrespect me like that." No. And he was like, "I didn't." And Sydney and I were like, "You just cussed at the man.
You disrespected him.
Then Kirk hangs up, and you hear the son saying, "Wait, did he just hang up on me? Did he just hang?" Like he's still trying to make it seem as if Kirk is all in the wrong.
Right, and he wants the world to see Kirk in the wrong.
Right.
But I'm like, dude, you 32 years old. Well, I don't even understand what's going on through your mind.
So what do you think that is?
See, I had to get myself. I feel you, Kirk. The boy needs some counseling. He needs some help.
Yeah, he's very angry, and I don't know all the details by any means. I'm only taking this at face value and what I saw, and from my lack of history, they've grown him to be 32 years old, and he's moved out and did whatever. But it does sound like it's very raw, right? It's just really, really raw.
He sounds stuck, though.
He is stuck.
He sounds really stuck. Now, the part that he did not air, according to what Kirk Franklin said in the transcript, he says the part that my son did not air was the fact that during the conversation, I said, you know what? Let's get the counselor. And I put him on hold to get the counselor to try to help us work this out before it went any further. He ain't play that. I said, see, no.
Well, that's what Sydney said too. She said, well, you notice, Mom, you don't hear anything before that. You don't hear any conversation except for that one particular part. That's the part that he released. And so you can tell that there is a lot of anger there, so much so that it's not just enough for me to be angry with you, but I want the world to be angry with you. I want them
to see you the way I see you.
Yes.
I want them to feel to agree with me.
Yes.
I want them to see that you're not this perfect man. I have never known Kirk Franklin to refer to himself or imply that he is this perfect being. Right. He has always been very, very honest about his struggles, about his humanity, about
how he was raised.
Yes, and his failure as a man of God, and his triumph in trying to overcome those failures in spite of everything. So I get this thought where people say you think you're this and that. I'm like, no. You think I'm this and that. Right. And that's what I'm thinking of when I listened or read the transcript between him and his son. No, you think your father is this perfect being.
Thinks he's a perfect being.
Right. But he's not feeling that. He's not even representing himself like that. You're doing this. And from this perspective, this hurt perspective, this deceptive perspective, this toxic perspective, I can go on, but I won't, because I want you to get some help too, brother. I hope you watch it. You are putting out this image of your dad that is unfair and unjust.
So let me ask you, why do you think he apologized?
Kirk Franklin? Because that's the thing that God wants us to do. You take ownership. If you are carrying Christ in you, the ownership falls on you to make amends. The ownership falls on us to apologize. If they're not at a place to apologize and you know that they're offended, you own it as unto the Lord. You know what? I apologize.
And that's the key. I'm sorry. I just wanted to, that's the key, is you knew that they were offended.
Right.
And so Kirk, knowing his son is offended, knowing that others who hear it would be offended, that's what he's apologizing for. But even the scriptures say that everyone falls short, that we all sin and fall short. I mean, that's a period. So for some reason, when people are, and I understand when you're a Christian in the spotlight, where the lights are shining on you, that does require a greater level of responsibility, of management, and those things. However, that doesn't mean you're perfect.
It does not. And I need the world to understand that. Right. There were some people who were whose comments were, Kirk needs to be fired. Y'all need to get rid of Kirk. And then there were a lot of, they call it Black Twitter. It was just like, we are not firing Kirk, period, the end. No, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go listen to Kirk Franklin's music right now, showing a lot of support. And I support him too. I'm just like, I think kids, because they grow up with you, as God has brought you to a certain point in victory and triumph and maturity, they get some things twisted. They don't recognize that there was an Alyssa BC before Christ. You know what I'm saying? There was a Marla before God got a hold of her.
And there's still a Marla even in my journey when I'm still not perfect trying to walk it out.
So you want to tread lightly in some areas. There are some boundaries that you cannot cross as a child with your parent. Disrespecting your parent, that's a boundary that you should never ever cross. And if you're going to cross it, you need to understand that there's a consequence that's going to come with it.
Right. So Sydney and I were talking, and she said some of her friends were like, that's just how it is. They were like, your mother, you never had that growing up, anybody being cussed out? But it's funny because Sydney said no. And I was like, yeah, I was like, she was like, no, that's not. I said, yeah, that's not your experience. She said, Mom, I remember the one thing you said. She said, I remember when you said hell. And I was like, what? I said, were you 7 or 8? She said, no, I was 18. She said, and I still remember that day. And I said, you know what? I said, I get it. I said, I can tell you. I said, there are times I've been so mad, so angry. I said, it almost feels like cussing is better than me jumping on top of you. Right?
Let me get this out.
That I don't want to hurt you.
Exactly.
You know, so I just got to get it out. It's like,
You want me to go in this room right here and let go of every word that's going to fly out my mouth. This is what you want. Trust me.
Right. And that's what I really wanted to talk about is the reality of our humanity.
Right.
You know, we are humans who we live in our flesh. You know, our flesh gets activated, gets triggered, gets all of those things. And again, it's just finding the grace for all of us, right? It's finding grace in the midst of situations and circumstances and extend it to all.
Right.
It's not just Christians or it's not just Black people. It's giving grace, right? There are people that are doing and saying things even in our world now with racism and those kind of things who say oops, you know, and they made mistakes. You know, it doesn't feel good, you know, and of course we judge it and say, oh, you did that on purpose. We don't know.
It just feels that way.
It feels that way. So we're kind of on the other end with some of those people like, take them down. But the reality is, right, when at the end of the day, and especially someone who doesn't serve Christ, as you know, what are the expectations there? Where do you think the morality comes? There's only a certain level of morality that we can have without Christ. Right? We're doing it all in our
morality
flesh.
For them. I think for a lot of non-Christian individuals, there is an expectation of perfection from Christians.
I agree.
And that is absolutely ridiculous.
I agree.
I mean, there was one perfect human that walked the face of this earth, and that was Jesus. There will never be another perfect person to walk the face of this earth.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Right. And the Christians need to know that too. Because some of us go walk around, you know, there, and I think some of that too brings a level into play is that some Christians become very judgmental. And so now we're saying, okay, well, if you're going to judge us, well, we're certainly going to judge you, especially if you have Christ, you know, and you're holding us to this standard. We're going to hold you way up here. And so the reality for us all, especially Christians, is that level of grace and mercy that we have to extend to all.
Right.
Even, and especially non-believers, right? Jesus went and sat. Now, what kind of conversation do you think they were having when Jesus was with them, with the tax collectors and the prostitutes and all those?
I thank you for this wine that you have making. Nah, that is not the conversation they had.
That is not, because even the others were like, well, why is
He's sitting with them? Obviously, there was a behavior and a conversation that took place naturally in that arena that Jesus sat in because they were offended. The leaders, the Sadducees, Pharisees, the leaders, you know, we call them. Okay, never mind.
No, but that's true because that atmosphere was there. And so now it's, don't go amongst them. Well, where else are you going to go?
How are they going to know?
Right.
Who am I going to?
Right.
I'm going to go to my sister who already knows about Christ?
Right.
Or my brother who's already walking it out? No. No. The doctor needs to go to the sick person. That's where the doctor needs to go.
And so again, I just wanted to talk about it because I do realize that, you know, it is being discussed amongst a lot of people. And again, I get it, you know, being a Christian on top of being in the spotlight, but he's in the spotlight for his music, right? He's not even, and he's talking about, and he's talking about God's love and his mercy for him, right? You listen to, you know, fear, all these things he's dealing with, speak to other people, to minister to other people. But I understand, you know, that there's still a level of accountability. And again, even like you said, if I have offended you, and I know I've offended you, it is my responsibility to apologize, sincerely apologize. And so I really applaud him for it.
I think he did the right thing.
I do too. I think it's another time of growth for him and stretching and understanding. I hope and pray, like you said, that his son really does get the help he needs, because Kirk and his wife are going to move forward.
Right.
Because they're living in a healthy manner. Being able to even say, hey, I made a mistake, is a healthy manner. His son at this point in time is, like you said, stuck. Arrested development. He has not moved forward. And so now his whole life is about taking down his father.
Right.
You know, instead of him growing or changing or being healed or any of those, he can't even experience the benefits.
No. And what he's not even recognizing is the fact that the enemy has set him up to rob him of having the opportunity to have healthy relationship with his parents. Because if you came at your dad, I guarantee you done messed up relationship between you and your mom.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is not, oh, I'm okay with my mom, but not with my dad. No.
Right.
If you're not okay with your dad, you ain't okay with your mom. That's just the bottom line. But you are being robbed. He's being robbed of the opportunity to have healthy relationship and the benefits that come out of those healthy relationships with his parents. He's being robbed tooth and nail, and he doesn't even realize it. And that's the thing that I want him to understand. I want him to understand that. And I want Christians to understand that we are human. And because we are human, we have to recognize that we're going to mess up. That's just the bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
And we got to give ourselves some time to grieve that, to mourn that, and then we have to forgive ourselves. We have to forgive ourselves and let it go. Well, you did this, that, and the other. I sure did. But you know, Jesus forgave me. So did I. I'm done.
Right.
And not be stuck there. Not be stuck there.
I agree. Well, thank you for this exciting conversation. I knew it would be. I really wanted to talk about it because it is just, again, it's being spoken about and the reality of what people are going through in their homes. And, you know, this is a family.
Right.
You know, this is a family. This isn't Kirk Franklin out there, the musician. This is Kirk Franklin, the father.
Right.
And I'm sure his heart is hurting that this is the relationship that he has with his son at this point in time. No father has that hope or dream. You know, they have an expectation of love and joy and connectedness. And so I know that their family is hurting. And so really, we need to just really continue to lift them up as well as others who are going through things in their families.
Right.
And so that's what I wanted to talk about today.
Good conversation.
So I'm excited. I thank you all for listening and tuning in, and you know, give us your thoughts in the comments and let us know what you're thinking about. Okay? Again, be gracious to others as well as yourselves. All right? Have a great day.